Hello, I'm Andy Wallace, and this is my teammate Justin Bell.
Yep, we're at our home circuit, Donington Park, for the 6th round of the BPR GT series. We hope it's going to be a good race. It's bright and sunny now. Hopefully by the time you watch this, we'll have hopefully won the race. So good luck and keep watching Eurosport.
Definitely keep watching Eurosport.
He's so exciting.
Well, Donington Park welcomes the Karcher Endurance GT Series to Britain for the first time in a 4-hour enduro around the Leicestershire Parkland circuit, where Mercedes and Auto Union battled out the British Grand Prix in the 1930s. After an exhausting schedule of 5 races and Le Mans pre-qualifying in just 10 weeks, the BPR Series runners arrived to be joined by new cars from Jaguar, Lotus and Marcos, British manufacturers eager to take on the McLarens, Porsches and Chevrolets of the European trail. McLaren has won the first 5 BPR races at Jerez, Paul Ricard, Jarama, Monza and Nürburgring, but Porsche believes it has a strong chance of success here on the hilly 3.5-kilometre circuit. Sadly, no Ferraris. The factory F40 is having decided to concentrate on preparing for Le Mans, while the Aldix Pilot team has been hampered by lack of gearbox parts, and its Ferrari F40 non-starts, and for the first time, no Venturas. In recent years, World Championship, Formula One and sports car races have been run here, most memorably the 1993 Grand Prix of Europe, when Ayrton Senna drove round the outside of the pack in the wet to win what was perhaps his finest race. The last 3 World Sports Car Championship counters here were won by Mass and Schlesser for Mercedes in '89, Baldi and Schlesser for Mercedes in '90, and Baldi and Alliot for Peugeot in 1992. So 27 cars make the journey to England's heartlands for the race held on VE Day, a poignant remembrance of battles past and anticipation of the battle to come this weekend. Lotus in particular is looking forward to it, running a new factory-built Esprit-based Sport 300 for its Italian Formula One driver Alessandro Zanardi and Briton Alex Portman. Zanardi, who raced in 25 Grand Prix for Jordan, Minardi and Lotus, his best finished 6th in Brazil in 1993, is having a one-off race in the car, which Lotus Cars is developing for a full season of GT racing in 1996.
It's a nice car, really nice to drive, and obviously compared to the other Challenger, which has Porsche or even McLaren, the car is not very powerful, but it's just flying around the corners because it's really light, and we got the engine right in the middle of the car. The oil weight is really low on the ground, so the car is going very well around the corner. But at the moment I'm spending a little bit too much time down the straight because of our lack of power compared, as I said, to all the other Challengers.
Also debuting is Hugh Chamberlain's Jaguar XJ220, beautifully presented by the World Sports Car C2 Championship winning team of 1989 and 1992. Drivers are Peter Hardman and Richard Dean, and the team is optimistic despite failing to pre-qualify for Le Mans the previous weekend after engine troubles. Was it a brand new car?
Well, actually, it's a pre-production chassis. I think this particular chassis is one that Jaguar cars used for their transmission testing on the original 220. But it's not a road car. It's one that was a pre-production car, exactly the same. But it never actually was ever on the road as a sold ordinary vehicle. We had it in that state. It looked like a complete. Well, it was a complete car, but it wasn't a complete car you could actually buy. It was a complete car you could only race, and so that's where it originated. And we've just stripped it down completely, and it's gone from there up, floor upwards. Power? Yes, probably. I think it's got about. We've got the TWR man. They do our engines. He says it has 650 horsepower, and the guys say it's quite interesting out there. So it's probably got about 650 horsepower.
Straight out of the British GT Series is Marcos, which will be racing at Le Mans. Chris Hodgetts, the championship leader, and he takes us around his car.
Okay, for the Eurosport viewers, what we have here is the LM600 Marcus. On the front, as you can see, there's some aerodynamic parts on the car, such as the dive planes, which give it quite a lot of downforce on the front. And as I remove the nose cone section, we have a Lozano 6.1 Chevrolet engine. The car actually runs in GT2, which means that to the weight limit that we have to run restrictors, which are quite visible on the car. These two here are the two restrictors for the Chevrolet. This obviously limits the amount of power that we can have, and it is designed within the class structure to balance all of the cars together with a combination of weight and with a restriction size to make for good, close, competitive racing. On the front of the car also you can see big 6-spot disc brakes. Obviously we have very good stopping power with this car. The front uprights are a special fabrication for Marcus that we are making ourselves. As we move further around the car, the exhaust system is a little different to all of the other exhaust systems on the other cars, in that we exit at the side beneath the door. This, unfortunately, in one of the British rounds gave me a little bit of a problem because we lost part of the exhaust system and we finished the race having won it in the pit lane engulfed in flames. But we hope now with the shrouding that we've cured that. As we move further back towards the rear of the car, you can see for Donington, for this race, which is on the Grand Prix circuit, completely different situation to what we have at Le Mans. What we need here is a high downforce configuration for the car. So hence we use this 2-plane rear wing. We have the main plane and then an additional plane, and also on top of that, this is what we call a gurney flap. This is to give additional downforce without losing or sacrificing any speed. For Le Mans, it's just a single plane wing so that the car will do 200 miles an hour. The maximum speed around Donington on the telemetry that we're seeing is about 142. We have these are called ducktails. Fairly obvious, well, not obvious to some people, but it does look a little bit like a duck's tail. When we tested the car in the wind tunnel, this gives additional downforce on the car. And very, very important, the boot, which is removed at the moment, also has a very similar configuration on it. So really that's it. It's a Marcus LM600 producing around about 530 horsepower, not as much as the McLarens, but we are running in GT2 and they run in GT1. So hopefully around this circuit with the downforce and hopefully with the drivers that we've got, we can perhaps give the GT1 runners a little bit of a surprise.
Hodgetts is sharing the computer centre car with Marcus's Chris March and Dutch Marcos racer Cor Oyzer. There's another Jaguar here, the PC Automotive XJ220 of Tony Brooks, which Richard Piper has already raced at Nürburgring and Monza. For our in-car lap of Donington Park, we go on board with Tiff Needell.
Hello, I'm Tiff Needell, and we're at Donington Park in England, where I'm going to be having my first outing in the Global Karsha GT Championship in this Jaguar XJ220. We're going to be racing the cars at Le Mans in about a month's time, so we're just hoping for a good result here at Donington. So why not come on board with me for a lap of the Donington Park circuit? A good qualifying lap needs a clean exit from the Goddard's hairpin to start the lap, up to third, up to fourth gear. Only a 5-speed gearbox on the Jaguar. Brake as late as you dare for Redgate, third gear. The Jaguar heavy car turning in gently, then getting on the power as quickly as you can before this dive down Crenny curves. Fourth gear, it's not quite flat out. A Grand Prix car goes full throttle down here. I need to brake. Turn left, on the power again, brake, down to the old hairpin, the fastest corner on the circuit. And now to start the climb into fourth gear, through a left-hand kink, which isn't that easy in the Jaguar. Brake for another left-hand kink, on the power again, brake down to third for McLean's. A tricky adverse camber corner that takes me out, over the curbs a bit. Hold in third, revs rise, braking up the rise into Coppice. Double apex. This is onto the main straight. Very critical to get the power down as quick as you can, but the back can step out in this big Jag. Fourth gear now, a breather, a look in the mirrors before we go down the hill into the S's, braking very hard. Down to third, down to second gear, crashing over the curbs. The mechanics don't like that. through the S's in second, grabbed third, nice and clean. The Jaguar has a locked rear differential. It's difficult in these tight hairpins. This is Melbourne. It won't turn in that easy, and I have to wait and wait before I can get that 650 horsepower on the road. Up to third, so far so good. One more corner to go. Goddard's hairpin, another tight second gear. We go left, and again you have to wait to get the power in, and when it's straight you boot it, and oh, that was a quick lap.
Tiff's race cam lap was good enough for 7th fastest of the 27 starters who fight out the grid places in front of a big crowd here on Sunday qualifying. Their first chance at home to see the BPR supercars in action. Well, 10th fastest, a German crew, Stefan Obendorfer and Detlef Hubner in their always competitive GT2 Muhlbauer Porsche 911 Turbo. 1:37.42 their time. Peter Hardman and Richard Dean in the Chamberlain Jaguar setting 1:37.23. 8th fastest and taking GT2 pole, first time out, Alessandro Zanardi and Alex Portman for Lotus on 1:36.71. Tiff Needell and Richard Piper, 7th fastest in the Pisa Automotive Jaguar. And in 6th, Bob Wallach, Jean-Pierre Jarry, Christophe Bouchot in the factory-supported Labre Porsche, which led the BPR series until Nürburgring, where the team failed to finish for the first time after 10 races and 4 wins, when a drive shaft broke. Now running 550 horsepower, the car is Porsche's big engine GT1 testbed, 1:35.1 second for them. Pierre-Henri Raffinel, Lindsay Owen-Jones of Gulf McLaren are now starting to get those podium places after early season car problems. Amateur historic racer Owen-Jones is president of the French cosmetics group L'Oréal. Raffinel, a former French Formula 3 champion, a man who finished second at Le Mans for Toyota in 1992. They're one of several owner professional driver combinations. Their time 1:34.05. Likewise, Ray Bellamy and Maurizio Sala, also for Gulf McLaren. They're in the number 1 car, winners of 4 of the 5 BPR races to date. Fourth fastest, with 1:33.49 seconds. Third fastest, Fabien Giroir and Olivier Grouillard in the Ducati McLaren, here for only its 3rd race after debuting at Jarama, 1:33.34. And on the front row for the first time are Andy Wallace and Justin Bell in the Harrods McLaren, run by Dave Price Racing, the car owned by Harrods heir Moody Fayed. Wallace runs a 1:31.69 second lap. Which leaves pole to Monza winners John Nielsen and Thomas Boucher in the West McLaren. Danish and German teammates to Wallace and Bell, also on Goodyear tyres. Big John, Le Mans winner for Mercedes and Daytona winner for Jaguar, is the pro. Thomas, a Cologne banker. Nielsen speed, 154.95 kilometres. And the battle this time with the Harrods McLaren, 900ths of a second.
Well, that's exciting, isn't it? I like that. I mean, Andy and I, we both went out there. We knew one of us would have it, so it's good racing.
You two have a real chance now to win tomorrow.
Well, you know my partner is dead reliable and the quickest of them all, so you see, we should be all right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're in this racing to win, and we've tried to win every race, and you can be sure tomorrow we're trying to win also.
Part for round 6 of the Karcher Global Endurance Series. This is Mark Cole, and that is John Nielsen on pole position. Alongside him in the Harrods McLaren, Andy Wallace. Row 2, Fabien Giroir in the Ducati McLaren, and alongside him, Ray Bellamy in the Gulf McLaren. Row 3, Pierre-Henri Raffinel, also Gulf McLaren, joined here by Maurizio Sala and Bob Wallach in the Labre Porsche, fastest non-McLaren here at Donington. Tiff Needell in the Jaguar. Row 4, and alongside him, the popular Formula One driver Zanardi in the Lotus. Row 5, Peter Hardman in the Chamberlain Jaguar XJ220, and Stefan Obendorfer in the Bulbauer Porsche, there with Detlef Hubner on row 5, and row 6, GT2 Championship leader Kolderari in his Stadler Porsche, shared with Lilian Breiner. Well, less cars than at Nürburgring as battle fatigue sets in with the crowded schedule, but nonetheless, 27 quality cars, 10 of them 650 horsepower GT1 runners, the rest in the 500 horsepower GT2 cars. There's our camera car for the race, the red New Zealand team Porsche 911 GT2 of Bill Farmer, delivered only 2 days ago. We joined Caterham racer Robert Nairn in the car for the start. End of the rolling lap, and ahead 4 hours on this demanding Midland circuit, holding place behind the BRSCC pace car, British Grand Prix clerk of the course, John Nicol, aboard. Nielsen and Wallace hold the field, the lights go to green, and Nielsen outdrags Wallace down into Redgate as Bellum takes his second row teammate Raffanel. Behind them, Nielsen, Wallace, Bellum, Raffanel, Jouard back into 5th place. Wallach, then Nidal. 7th in the PC Jaguar, and Eugene O'Brien in the first of the 2 Callaway Corvettes. On board again with Nairn, son of Caterham cars owner Graham, chasing Hodgetts and the Marcos, and there in the white Conrad Porsche GT2, Franz Conrad himself. And no change as they stream through McLean's and up the hill towards Coppice, in front of 20,000 spectators for this Holiday Monday race, despite British Touring Car Championship at Thruxton today. Oh, Nairn fighting the car there as they go through Coppice. Gicardi still holding off the veteran Bob Wallach there in the Labra factory Porsche. Nairn's group following that battle, trying to climb all over Chris Hodgetts Marcos, who's also trying to climb all over the Jaguar. And no change up at the front. Ray Bellum doing his usual good job there in the Gulf McLaren. Raffanel behind him, then Jouard, then Wallach, then Nidal. Oh, there's a big battle going on now. No quarter between the Augusta Callaway Corvette and the German Porsche. O'Brien against Obendorfer. And in front of us, oh, Hodgetts Marcos locks up as they climb all over Hardman's Jaguar again. So the GT2 lead battle just ahead of them. As our camera car goes through the picture there. Down the hill, through the Craner curves. And this fight for the lead of the GT2 category with Zanardi's Lotus now tagging on behind. Well, 3rd, 4th, 5th, McLaren, Porsche, then Nidal holding off the GT2 battles, Zanardi pushing hard behind him. Wolfgang Kaufmann's GT1 Freisinger Porsche ahead of Helmut Koenig's GT2 Stadler 911. Kolderari in the black Porsche fighting to get past both of them. And there's a big group following them as we go back with Robert Nairn. Jaguar still just ahead of the 2 of them. Great fighting through the S's here, down the hill towards the Melbourne hairpin. Oh, drama for Labra Porsche. Wallach is out after just 13 unlucky laps with gearbox failure in the factory Porsche, and Ray Bellum is in moments later with transmission problems. A broken gear linkage will cost the Gulf team 45 minutes and 21 laps in replacing it. Back on board with Nairn, he and Hodgetts having passed the Jaguar, and now they've caught Philip Olgick's tire-troubled Callaway Corvette. Watch this. Oh, Hodgetts goes through at the old hairpin. Then looks for his chance. Olgick, the 1993 Venturi Gentleman's Trophy champion, sliding all over the road in the Callaway Corvette run by the Augusta team out of Silverstone. All three cars fighting in the GT2 class. 500 horsepower thereabouts, depending on your weight. Oh, and the Corvette sliding all over the Reddit copies. Nairn tries to go through on the inside as they go down the Dunlop straight. Heavy braking at the end here into the S's. Can Nairn do it? Can he go around the outside? No, the Corvette's still there, takes the inside line, shuts the door firmly over the curbs. The experienced Nairn races Caterham 70, knows this circuit very well indeed. Down into the Melbourne hairpin. One of the two tightest hairpins on the course. Oh, slides the car sideways as he gets the power and opposite lock up towards the hairpin. Oh, and he's much quicker into Goddard's, goes through on the inside. Oh, they touch. Holschick spins, and Nairn goes through. Great opportunistic piece of driving there. Well, the first routine stops, following at the front. John Nielsen comes in for fuel, but he stays in the West McLaren. Still leading the race and rejoins. Well, he hasn't though, because Wallace takes the lead at that moment. So Andy Wallace and Justin Bell, his partner, now in the lead of a BPR race for the first time. Out comes Nielsen back into the fray in second place. Wallace continues in the lead and keeps it even after the Harrods McLaren's own pit stop. But only just, as these two experienced long-distance veterans, both Le Mans and Daytona winners, battle it out round Donington. Well, the battle goes on for lap after lap. The Goodyear runners with the racer's edge so far this weekend on their harder compounds than the Michelin tyres of the Gulf and Gicardi teams. Both cars closing fast on the GT2 Conrad Porsche of Dutchman Bert Plug, the man who's lying fourth overall in the driver's points at the moment. Oh, but it all goes wrong. The Harrods crew of victories shattered as they collide. Wallace with Conrad's Bert Plug as they turn into the S's. Let's look at it again in slow motion. Broken rear wheel on the Wallace car as we see again what happened. Plug turns in, unaware perhaps that Wallace is there. They collide. The rear wheel at an angle on the Harrods car, enough to make it spin. Plug goes straight on. Both cars limp back to the pits, but the McLaren's rear suspension is broken, and Wallace and Bell lose valuable time as the Dave Price Racing team repair broken joints. Wallace is left waiting frustrated in the car.
Bert was in front of me in the 911, and I tried to go inside him, and he gave me plenty of room, but I was going a little bit too fast. So as I turned in, the rear of the car came round and just caught his car. He was totally not to blame whatsoever. It was my fault.
Wallace perhaps a little over-generous, but he gets back into the race, some places down. Nielsen led again, but was rapidly hauled in by the Gicardi McLaren of Jouard and Griard as his tyres start to end their useful life. Griard takes the lead, but Lindsay Owen-Jones and Thomas Boucher fight back. The three cars running nose to tail for several laps at mid-distance before the professional driver starts to pull away. It's all change in GT2 as well. Lotus has now moved into the GT2 second place behind Calderari and Briner. Zanardi is blinding form, taking the car past the Corvette and Marcos opposition. But the Marcos will be out soon with battery failure. A one-lap lead now for the Gicardi car, and they stop for a routine stop. But Griard has earned himself a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Fighting for second now, the two amateurs stay together, and the professionals Nielsen and Raffanel continue the battle when they take over. Still ahead of them though, the Gicardi car. Griard takes his punishment as Nielsen pulls away from the Gulf McLaren. But he speeds in the pit lane coming in and is now given a massive 4-minute penalty. This means Nielsen and Bisher now look secure for a second win after Monza if they can keep Raffanel and Owen-Jones behind them. Griard rejoins, but with a penalty, now a lap down, he'll be forced to wait in the pits for those 4 minutes. On goes the leading car, clear road behind and a clear road ahead. Lotus is now 4th overall, leading GT2 after brake problems for Calderari and Briner, with the Stadler car of Helmut Koenig and Renato Mastro Pietro in 2nd place. Oh, then dramatically, Griard slows and stops on the circuit. The McLaren gearbox breaks and it's all over, just 20 minutes short of the checkered flag, even before he can take that second stop-go penalty. Heartbreak for Lotus too, as its differential fails with just 10 minutes of the race left. Meanwhile, a dejected Griard makes it back to the pits. He said the gearbox is broken, I had no gears left, I think everything's completely messed up inside. Well, as Nielsen leads, the final pit stop for the GT2 leading Stadler Porsche, Koenig and Mastro Pietro having profited from the heavy mechanical toll on Lotus and on their own Stadler teammates, Calderari and Briner. Final laps and West McLaren heading for their second victory from the untroubled number 16 Gulf McLaren of Raffanel and Owen-Jones, who managed to avoid the brake pad changes of most others. Bellum and Sala will finish a lowly 15th. The flag's ready, the flag's out and the race is over. It's a time for celebration for Dave Price Racing with a 1-3. The Harrods McLaren taking 3rd.
Went everything very well for us, and I think we were very lucky today because the Giacardi team really deserved that win as well. But you see, they ran out of fuel. Also, they had a 4-minute stop-and-go penalty for repeated offence. So you see, you have to be lucky also to win. No, and John did a fantastic job. Absolutely great.
A delighted Moody Fayed looks on at his 3rd place, people, as the champagne also flows for Wallace and Bell. So the results of the race. It's a McLaren lockout at the front, but Koenig and Mastro Pietro 4th overall to win GT2. Calderari recovering for his 2nd place in GT2. The championship now led by Nielsen Bisher from Bellum Sala and Jarrier, Wallick and Boucher in 3rd.
Number 2 win, yes, after Monza, and we got the championship lead now, so what more do we want? It's a good way to go to Le Mans like that.
Great battle at Giacardi today, but perhaps the harder drivers lost out, eh?
Well, I mean, it's racing, isn't it? We lost a little bit because we did some tire gambling. We put some softer ones on for the end. They had put softer tires on, so they had to change also. It was very exciting, and we were actually charging them. And I don't know whether we would have got them. We would have been very close, but they stopped, so we won the race.
Yes, a great battle for British racegoers. In the next race, France at Montclair. Eurosport and Speedworld, of course, will be there.